The F-150 Raptor is an absolute monster from the factory, but as it sits, it's a little bit too quiet. So today we're going to be installing this MBRP Cat-Back Exhaust on our 2017 Raptor. I have Jesse from MBRP. What can you tell me about this exhaust?
This particular system is our 3-inch catback for the Ford Raptor. It's specific to that truck, doesn't fit any other F-150s. Fits both the Super Crew and the Super Cab iteration. What you see here today is actually our Black Series. And what I mean by that, it's got black tailpipes, but the rest of it's actually stainless, the parts that you don't see, the stuff that hangs out from underneath the truck. It's a really good sounding catback. It's a little more aggressive than the factory, but it's not overly loud, and actually provides you a nice throaty response, good sound, I guess, at both part throttle and wide open throttle.
Awesome. Let's get to the installation. Tools you'll need for this installation: 10mm socket, 13mm socket, a 3/8 ratchet, 15mm socket, a 1/2-inch ratchet, and a 9/16 wrench. So Jesse, I went to put up the truck and you told me to stop and you told me to get this out of the back of the truck. What's up with this?
Here's the deal. I mean, can you put the exhaust on with the factory spare tire still in place? Absolutely. Removing it, does it make it much easier? Yes. I mean, it probably save you 30-35 minutes of muscling this thing in your driveway, so why not just take it off? It takes 10 seconds to lower it down.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
The first thing you're going to do is remove the lock cylinder and then use your tool to drop the spare tire. Now, if you're doing this in your driveway on the ground, you can stop right here, but if you're going to put this on the lift like we are, you can remove the centerpiece from the wheel and it can go up on the lift. All right, Jesse, so we have the truck up in the air. What's the first thing we're going to do?
Well, actually, I'm just going to Instagram you taking off the factory exhaust and join you in a few minutes.
Sounds good to me. The first thing we're going to remove is this bracket that holds on the tip. There's two 10mm nuts that hold it on. Once you get this bracket off, you can remove the same bracket for the other tailpipe. There's a hanger on each tailpipe that needs to be removed as well. Each hanger has two 10mm bolts. Then there's two 15mm clamps that hold on each tailpipe. We're going to remove the driver's side tailpipe. Then the passenger side.
Hey, Freddy, are you on Instagram?
Yeah, actually it's CJ Off-Road. Because we're on a lift, we can remove the muffler and resonator assembly as one piece. So we're just going to remove this hanger here, which is two 10mm bolts, and then get the hardware up front at the Y pipe. But if you're doing this in your driveway, then you're going to want to separate the muffler from the resonator, and that'll make it a lot easier for you. Remove the two 13mm bolts on this flange. Finally, you can loosen these two 15mm nuts up front. A little bit of penetrating lubricant might help. These will get a little rusty. We're now going to slide the whole assembly towards the rear of the truck. All right, so we got that factory catback out of the way. What's the first thing we're going to do now?
Well, as we stated earlier, this is a full catback system, so we're going right up to the factory Y pipe, and you can go either side first. I like to do the one with the flange. It's a little easier to work with at the beginning, especially if you're doing this in your driveway. So we're just going to mount this to the factory hardware that's on the factory Y pipe.
You can then install your washer and lock washer, and then your nut. For the other side, we're going to be reusing this factory clamp, then slide the other pipe in. All right, we got the front pipes on. The next thing we're going to do is install the muffler.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. actually, this is a Super Crew. So instead of actually giving you multiple parts to put together and saw, we actually give you these extension pipes because this is a longer truck. So these guys go on first, then that.
All right, cool. Before we install any more of this exhaust, we're going to reinstall this factory hanger. So we are able to install the muffler now, but before you throw it on, can you tell me a little bit more about it?
Yeah, we designed this muffler actually from the ground up for this application. So it's a little bit of a little different type of muffler than we typically use for a truck. Most of our mufflers are straight through design. This is a perf core and chambered muffler. And what I mean by that is it's basically a hybrid muffler. It's two mufflers in one, if you will. And that allows us to get a nice tone while keeping a relatively small size on a truck like that. And it's important because people do off-road these things. And you'll notice as we go along, a lot of the stuff is actually even higher up on the frame than the factory stuff. We don't want anything catching on rocks or causing any hang-ups while you're out there off-roading.
Awesome. So what do we do now that the muffler's on?
I find it easiest to actually start with the driver's side over axle pipe because one of the hangers was already still on the truck, and we'll go from there.
Alrighty. Now we'll do the other over axle pipe.
And now we're going to reutilize the factory hanger that we took off with the factory exhaust earlier.
Then install the two bolts that hold the mount in place.
So on this side, because of the factory ABS lines and the factory brake lines, it's just a little easier to put the actual bracket on the pipe while you still have it on the ground, or like not on the truck itself. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, and then we're gonna slide it up into place. And now we're gonna use the factory hardware to put this bracket back into place. All right, now we're actually gonna take the factory hanger that we took off earlier when we took off the factory exhaust and put it on our new hanger that we provide. And this is actually what holds the tip on the back of the exhaust. And we're actually reutilizing this factory hardware to hold the bracket in place. We're gonna leave it finger tight for now because this allows us to sort of dial in both sides of the tailpipe height and straightness. So we got a good bit of adjustability on both sides. And now we're actually gonna install the tip. Now that we've got that done, we're gonna do the exact same thing on the other side.
The exhaust is fully assembled. Now we're gonna tighten all the clamps and hardware, starting with the front, then work our way back. And once you get the clamps tightened on the muffler, you can reinstall your spare tire and your installation's finished. All right, time to see how this Raptor sounds. So we got this MBRP Cat-Back Exhaust installed. Jesse, I want to thank you for coming out and helping me out.
Yeah, so what do you think?
Honestly, I love it. It sounds a lot better than the factory exhaust. It's a lot more aggressive. And I like how the tips kind of keep that factory look. They're still black, but they look a lot more aggressive. You can find this MBRP Cat-Back Exhaust along with other MBRP products at cjponyparts.com.